This is The Launch, episode 11 for February 25th, 2025. Streaming to you from the beautiful, rainy Pacific Northwest and the mighty American West Coast, we greet you all good morning, good evening, whenever your timeline may fall. Time-appropriate greetings, indeed, to one and all. This is The Launch. My name is Chris.
And I'm Angela.
Hello, Andrews. We got a big launch coming up today. Get ready. And we have a Mr. Wes Payne. Hello, Wes.
Oh, hello, team.
Hello. Yeah, lots to get into. We're going to ask Wes questions we've always wanted to know. But before we get there, I just want you to know that you're welcome to join us live Tuesdays, 11:30 a.m. Pacific, 2:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. UTC at jblive.tv or your podcasting 2.0 app of choice. It's live in there too. And it comes out for download Wednesday mornings. I also invite you to join that Mumble room. Details at jupiterbroadcasting.com/mumble. That room is going right now. It's a direct line to us. You can ask us questions. We have an open room during the show and after the show, so you can always just pop a lock in there and ask us anything you like. Of course, the chat room's going all the time, the Launch HQ on Matrix. And links and the shows are at weeklylaunch.rocks. That's everything you need to know. And if you are a Jupiter Signal member, be sure you're getting the bootleg version because there's extra pre-show and post-show just for you. Well, Andrews, we survived, all three of us.
Yeah,
we survived a big windstorm this week.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because, just a little background, I'm kind of becoming a weather nerd, and old school meteorologists and the newer group, they like the professional ones that work for companies and stuff that like do specific forecasting for like Alaska Air and stuff like that. These two groups were split on the severity of the storm, and they were throwing shade at each other before the storm. Like the old school group was like, it's not a big deal. And the new school group was like, no, we're going to have southern winds at 50 miles per hour. It's going to knock trees over. It's going to cause power outages. People need to prepare.
Is that what was going on? I caught a little bit of that energy, but I hadn't seen the whole thing.
There was a meteorologist like fight over it.
I think I heard a line of like, that's just irresponsible forecasting, telling people that the gusts won't go that high.
Yeah, they were like, what are they doing? Yes, it was. So I was watching all this go down, and meanwhile I'm thinking, well, are we actually going to have a massive storm? Like what's the actual answer here? We got kind of a blower. We got about 30 mile per hour winds up at the RV, so we had to go full turtle mode, which means you pick everything up and you bring the slides in. You pull down the Starlink, so that way the Starlink doesn't get blown away, and, you just sort of hunker down.
So do you have one of those land anchors to help secure your land boat, or how does it work?
Well, I should. That's a good idea. I do have jacks down, slides in, so we were pretty safe. But around 4 a.m., we started getting rocked around quite a bit. But I didn't have the night that Ange had. Like, you really got the full storm experience.
Okay, well, first of all, I didn't know there was a storm warning at all. Like I missed, you both saw this debate about, and normally, like when we're expecting a storm, they do let us know like ridiculously in advance. I didn't see anything on this.
The TV weather guys were the ones that were kind of like, oh, it's no big deal and stuff like that.
Apparently they won. So I didn't know anything about it, but when our power flickered, then I got the lantern out and started charging it and a couple power banks, right? But we didn't lose power. I went to bed, in the 10 o'clock hour. At 12:08, there was the most loud thud that I felt in my core.
We captured it. She captured it on camera, and we'll give you a sense of what it is. See if you can identify what the sound is, Wes. It shook the house. Are you ready?
Sounds like a dead body, right?
Maybe a tree limb? Or do you have any fancy art in the backyard? Something, a statue that fell over?
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
She does have that big pedestal, that big Buddha back there. But
see, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing is that audio does not do justice. It was so loud. I felt it. And I looked at my watch because I'm like, I'm going to need to know what time this was because I'm going to look at notifications the next day. But then I'm like, you know what? No, I'm going to go to Ring. I still felt it when I woke up this morning. But anyway, Ring had nothing. Ring at the last power outage, there was 50 people saying their power was out.
Yeah.
But there were no Ring notifications for the last 4 hours
Yeah,
from
usually
the neighbors.
there's a social media aspect. So if you have the Ring gear, there's like a built-in kind of like, like the neighborhood app, but it's just for Ring users, and they'll post like clips and
Yeah, and it's funny, right? I'm not even annoyed that they're like, oh, hey, my power went out, or hey, my power came back on. Do you want to come over? Like things like that. But nothing. And I'm like, well, did this even happen? And right after it happened, I got up and I went to the open area where I can see all 3 of my kids' doors, right? None of them opened their doors. So it didn't wake any of them up. And so I can't find any validation. And then it occurred to me, I just bought a plug-in Ring camera for my back porch so that I can watch the raccoons scavenge my cat's heated houses.
Of course.
And the nice thing about the
little
plug-in
nature cam, I like it.
The plug-in cam's running 24/7 on like the battery that only goes on motion.
Yes, exactly. So I scrubbed to that, it was 12:08 a.m. And sure enough, that's where that audio came from. And then I found out my son was awake. And yeah, so it was, it was so rattling. And this morning, there was a big tree branch against my house. I mean, it could have been that, but I thought we were at war.
Right.
Or like,
something
I don't even
up.
know. Or I had a tree felled in 2020 that was dead. And I watched them do it. It was a very, very tall cedar.
Oh, yeah, where like they climb up and chop off bits. And,
and every chunk, like 6-foot chunk, like I could feel it in the thud. Yeah, but I Googled if you can feel trees falling, and apparently you can't, right? It's
You're telling me if a tree falls in the woods and you're there, you still don't hear it?
It's weird. It was AI. I'll preface it with it was AI answering it, but it's the vibrations. Like you can feel the vibrations, but I don't know. It was weird. It was also 1 a.m., or 12 a.m.
Yeah.
I remember as a kid, we had a windstorm that a tree fell over and hit the room I was in. Thankfully, it didn't bust through or anything, but I woke up with a bunch of like sheetrock particles on top of me.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that was my other thought was, I am not safe. Like, is this going to fall on me?
Yeah. Normally, the house protects me, but I don't know.
What it sounded
We shouldn't
like.
have complained so much about the Pacific Northwest winter. I think it hurt us.
I know, right? I'll show you, it says. Yeah, this is really one of our last hurrahs, I hope. Coming in and coming out, our wind gets, people don't talk about it. They always talk about the rain here, but our wind actually gets really serious. 50, 60 miles per hour is not too uncommon. And when you consider the density of trees that we have,
who planted all those?
And the fact that it rains so much, so the ground is kind of soft. It actually is a pretty big deal. Almost 200,000 people lost power.
Yeah, and I drove the kids to the bus stop because it's like I don't know, 0.6 mile.
And
they
it
have
was
to walk.
windy and gross out and rainy.
And there was no tree. There was no tree where I thought it was, right?
Oh, yeah.
There's an open area behind my house, or like my backyard is an open area of trees. And from my house side, there was nothing. And on the other side, which is their bus stop, still nothing. Just this branch on the side of my house. And I haven't surveyed the damage if there's like a hole in the side of my house or what. Like, I have no idea.
Probably some scratches.
It's like someone's trolling you, I think.
Yeah, no, my neighbor didn't hear it at all either. So
wow.
I'm like,
yeah, those are the ones like, did I just dream this? No, I have evidence.
It definitely sounds like you hear what I think you're hearing in the sound is, I think you're hearing the wind, obviously. Then you're hearing something crack off. Then there's a moment before the boom, and so to me it implies something cracked off from high above and then had to travel,
like a top. Yeah, and so maybe it's not as obvious as a whole tree falling over. We're talking about the storm that we had here in Washington last night.
Yeah. Yeah, and that, oh boy, I tell you, I drove in this morning in that, and it was a headwind the whole way, so I'm doing 68 miles per hour is about the max I could do, and probably the worst fuel economy I've ever gotten on that drive ever. I was getting like 15 miles to the gallon because I'm pushing against 30 mile per hour winds.
You should have just gone north instead.
Yeah, I would have gotten a great economy.
Canada.
Yeah, we're doing the show in Vancouver this week. We just got great fuel economy. So that was fun and exciting, and I wasn't sure if we'd have power at the studio or if the studio would have lost power and I would have had to do a bunch of fixing this morning. Mm-hmm. So when I got in, I was prepared for that, but everything was just fine, thankfully.
There's a lot of garbage all over the cities on the way here.
Yeah, because it was near garbage day.
Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm. They should have planned that one better.
Right.
You figure out which way the wind goes and you put a big can at the end of the road.
A little shield or something, I guess. Well, we had a really pleasant surprise this week. A piece of Jupiter Broadcasting history came back online. Do you know the backstory here? Why it's back online or how it came to be again? The Jupiter Broadcasting Minecraft server once again lives, and I cannot put into words what an incredible achievement this Minecraft world is. First of all, to call it a world is a misnomer because there's like 5 worlds.
Mm-hmm.
And they are all so intricate and detailed, and they were done during a time where Minecraft didn't have some of the features it has now to build stuff. So it was like by hand getting the cobblestone and all that kind of stuff. I mean, the scope of this, I don't know, Ange, how do we put it into words? It's like one of the worlds is the faux world.
Yep.
Still there.
Yep. It's a community built, a Jupiter Broadcasting community built and maintained server.
And there's so many neat worlds, like a Jupiter Broadcasting studio world. And
Yep. And I'll say I had creative mode, so I didn't, have to find my resources. But yeah, we do have. I think we have like you said, the live studio and like the faux show going.
Yeah.
We have heads.
Yep.
In various places. Oh, it's so funny. And our kids even,
they
had
have
little houses on there.
Yeah. And so I'm going to give out the address because it's just so neat. It was circulating in our launch chat this week. It's mc.gravitygunonly.com, and then it's port 25565.
Yeah, so you'll need a colon where he said port.
Yep.
If you're new.
And that'll get you on the JB Minecraft server. And even if you're not a active Minecraft player, you got to go see this thing. It's so impressive. Do you know why it's back online or any of this? Did you just discover it when I discovered it, or?
Well, no, you sent me a message, and I figured Dylan was begging you. He's been begging me, and I didn't know how to get a hold of Price TX because I think our IRC channel is no longer there, and that's the only place that I had his.
Good old IRC.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know if he still manages it or what.
Yeah, I think Price brought it back online.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Wow.
And like to say it was restored pristinely. A couple of things don't work that were just neat little fun things, but like people, the stuff you stashed in like a crate, still stashed there, or like the kids went and found all their old pets.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, all their old pets are still there.
Wonderful.
Still alive, still walking
funny.
around. And they have like genuine like nostalgia when they saw that. It was really neat. So it's mc.gravitygunonly.com, and it's on port 25565 if you want to check it out.
Did you sign into Minecraft and take a look around?
I had to.
And your account? Okay. Did Dylan?
No, he used my account, but yeah, he looked
okay,
around,
good. Yeah. Oh, I'm sure he did.
Yeah, and
he knew exactly where to go, didn't he?
Oh yeah, he did. He pretty quickly figured out that, like, I think in the faux world or somewhere I have some admin power, so he was able to fly around and do stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it was really fun to see it. And, I know that Minecraft just isn't quite what it was, but seeing that was really neat. And just so impressed with the, I just cannot describe the amount of work. You have to go see it for yourself. It really is something spectacular. And I hope Price can keep it online. I hope that's something that's viable for him because it's so freaking neat. So neat. So I've been wanting to get Wes on the show. I figured there's probably some get to know Wes questions that we've never asked.
Oh.
Also,
you didn't pitch this to me when you invited me on the show.
It's because I came up with it this morning.
Just in time.
So I asked Grok, and Grok says the last name Payne has an interesting history rooted in medieval England and potentially France as well. Are you aware of this?
I've looked into a little bit, but I don't know if I've seen this exact take.
I mean, who has the last name of Payne, right? So I wanted to know. It looks like it's primarily derived from Old French word meaning pagan or heathen.
That seems appropriate.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's likely starting as a label for the other before settling into a widespread family name. It's a mix of linguistic evolution, Norman influence, and a dash of historical attitude.
I like that. It's good fitting, too, because my first name means like the West Meadow or something. That's a little too calm. So if you mix that with the heathen side, maybe the balance is just right.
That's true. Apparently, your last name started getting used as early as the 12th century in England.
Yeah, there definitely has been some, historic folks with it.
The Payne goes way back.
Can't escape it.
Yeah. So that's interesting. And I wasn't sure, Have you ever looked into that kind of stuff, like the origins of your last name?
Not that far back. I've like seen like a little bit of various family histories and stuff, but not in terms of word origins, no.
I just, with a name like that, right? You just you wonder. Okay, so before we get started with the 3 quintessential Wes questions, I have a question for both of you, okay?
Okay.
And I'll start with you, Wes, or Ange, whoever has an answer first. I'm going to call it the stupid time machine problem. So you've got to escape via a time machine. I don't know why you're escaping, but you got to get the hell out of here, and you can never come back. And your only escape mechanism is a time machine that only goes back in time. So it's a stupid time machine problem. So what time era would you go back to, and what would you do for a living? Like, what do you think, what skill set do you have today that would translate to a potential job in an era bygone? Perhaps when technology did not exist.
Well, I have questions about the parameters of the problem. I assume we're keeping our knowledge?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, it's you right now, but you got to get that. You got to get the hell out of here. You got to get in a time machine.
Okay, and do we have to optimize for the job thing, or can we kind of choose our own rationale for why we pick that time?
Both. I mean, ideally, you want to survive once you get there.
Sure.
But you make your choices. I don't know if you want to pick just for the job.
I'd be really tempted to go back to sometime in the Enlightenment, just because like there was so much science, low-hanging fruit that you could do.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, even just your basic everyday knowledge that we have today would be probably pretty far above what they had back then.
I would also, this would be worse practically, but for more curiosity, like going back to like an ancient culture in the Americas, either here in the Pacific Northwest or Central America, like that would be fascinating to see their peak before, they were invaded and destroyed by colonizers.
Yeah, what was that life really like?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think practically I would probably pick like the late 1910s, early 1920s to start.
Oh.
My goal would be do some stock trading,
Yeah,
And die of Spanish flu.
try to dodge that. But my real goal would be to fund so I could set myself up as like an early record producer and then just have an excuse to go check out all of the early jazz and blues.
Oh God, that's brilliant.
That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, that's sort of that's a fork of the Biff Tannen approach, but I think it's a better one.
Plus, if the stock trading goes all right, then I should have enough money that like the light, there's still indoor plumbing. If you're like rich enough, you can have like reasonable comforts that you're used to now versus older times.
Yeah. What about you, Ange? You got to get in this time machine. You got to go back to a period. What period do you go back to? And what year would you?
Play me the bacon.
Oh, you got, okay. I like this. I didn't know there'd be conspiracy.
Wait, whoa. Do we actually connect conspiracy with the bacon sound?
Sometimes conspiracy bacon.
Oh yeah, that's true. Okay. Okay. Whatever advanced civilization made the pyramids.
Oh.
Like,
so you go back to the pyramid times and watch them get built, and then you'd have the answer.
Yeah. It had to have been. There's no hieroglyphics demonstrating building the pyramids.
Ooh, I like this.
Right?
Now, what happens, though, if you get drug into, like, slave labor to drag rocks?
Oh, they weren't. I mean, there might have been slaves, but
who knows?
Yeah. Okay, so let me answer, though.
Would you be okay just sort of like project managing, helping out, build the pyramids?
So
keeping everyone organized and on track?
Yeah, what's funny? Yes, right? I am. I do have my project management professional certification. I got that a couple months ago. Or I earned it, actually. I think I'd be pretty stupid during that time, honestly, but I am adaptable. Like, I could learn. There are things that would be relevant, but I would have to become an apprentice to something during that time.
But you'd still know more about like
bacteria.
The future. No, well, you'd know like
you'd
know like how to prevent yourself from getting sick more than they would.
They're
back in
an
that time.
advanced civilization. Like I imagine that they were more advanced than we are right now. Like that's
so you might
theory.
be going back into like some sort of golden age, potentially living it up.
Yes.
Interesting. I think I would also probably take a strategy similar to Wes, where I'd still want there to be automobiles. So I don't want to go too far back.
You're not like a horse and buggy guy.
Well, that flying cars would be cool. But
were flying whatever. I don't even know. UFOs.
But I think I would want to aim. I don't know how I would do it. I'd have to take a couple of minutes and have one last conversation with an LLM before I jump to the time machine. But I think,
well, with these open source ones,
bring one with me.
Yeah, as long as you had like enough solar stuff or other ways to get yourself some
electricity. If I could charge the laptop, I could just bring DeepSeek with me. And God, wouldn't that
And a
be
copy of
useful?
Wikipedia.
Holy crap, that'd be yeah. You better do that. Download Wikipedia, get yourself an offline LM, and figure out a way to charge up your laptop. I feel like golden age of radio would be perfect for me if I could get in on the radio back in the the good the golden era of radio before television, really.
When you were the star.
Yeah, but you didn't have to be people wouldn't recognize you when you went out. It's the perfect level of in a media. In a widely spread media, but not one where you're going to get harassed when you go to the movies.
Especially when it was new, right? Like suddenly you can wirelessly communicate and people can tune in all over the country. That's wild.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that would have been a lot of fun. Although I guess I got the second best is I sort of nailed the podcast era. So I got lucky in that way. The other trick would be just go back 10, 15 years. Right? Don't go that far back because you're just, whatever it is, you're just running from whatever happened in this time.
Right.
But if you just went back 15, 20
and then
years.
you'd relive this time frame.
And you would know everything that's about to happen.
Oh, my goodness.
And you could get stinking rich, but you'd still, 20 years ago, we still had great cars.
True.
We still had great food. Everything was great.
Buick Skylark.
In fact, I'd say things were better.
So now, you called it a dumb time machine. Does it replace the version of you, or do you have to contend with the OG version of you who's still running around in that time?
You would, but the question is
Could you team up?
I think that's probably, if assuming that doesn't create a paradox, yes, that's the way to go. Or you got to murder yourself and assume somehow it's,
Oh, blend in.
Yeah. I would think though that you're really risking messing the timeline. Although maybe you don't have much that.
I hope I don't assume a dude body.
Oh yeah, maybe it is a dumb time machine. You never know.
Right, it's supposed to blend you into that.
Right.
Although sometimes maybe the dude body would be helpful, not for good reasons, but just, old attitudes.
All right. I got a question for you, Mr. Wes Payne.
This is a Jupiter Broadcasting production.
Aw.
So I got 3 questions to get to know Wes Payne a little bit better. What was Wes's first computer? You may have told me before, but I don't know if we've ever said it on air.
So is this the first computer I regularly used, or the first computer that was mine?
That's what you said last time I asked you.
Oops.
Yeah, well, I was thinking this time I want yours. Your computer, Wes's computer.
Yeah, well, in high school, I built myself a cobbled together rig. I'd been mowing lawns, and my mom had a horse. Well, she still does, but so I cleaned stables and did some odd jobs at her barn.
Literally how I raised money to build my first PC. Cleaning stables and mowing lawns.
Amazing.
That's funny.
And I remember it was sort of cobbled together off Newegg, and then back then, Overstock.com was still a thing with tech parts. So I think it had 512 megs of RAM. I was pretty excited about that. Some kind of NVIDIA GPU, although it wasn't great. I think I got that because Circuit City was still a thing, and it was from there. So that tells you a bit of the age.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that actually lasted me, I don't know, probably... I didn't use it nearly as much as when I first built it, but it probably lasted me a decade.
That's not bad.
I think it's going to play into some of these other answers, actually.
All right. And then is that the first computer you tried Linux on?
Yes. Now, my family did have a Windows ME Dell machine.
Ooh.
And I did a lot of stuff on there, including breaking the boot process and changing the boot image and, stuff like that. So I might have booted an early Linux live CD on that machine before I had my own rig, but that rig was what really let me kind of go wild on experimentation without bothering anyone else.
Mm-hmm. I know that one. Yeah, I know that one. Do you remember what kind of Linux it was at the time?
Ooh, yeah. Well, I remember I had Windows 2000 on it, and then eventually I got XP, I think. And then I started dual booting. It must have been one of the early Ubuntus.
That would make sense.
Yeah, definitely. I tried a few different things. I definitely tried Debian at one point. I know I tried a different graphical one, although I'm totally blanking on what it was. But I think Ubuntu was kind of the first Linux I really used to get actual things done.
It was a big improvement back then, too,
Yeah.
over the other stuff.
Well, it had a graphical installer I could make sense of. And at this point, I'd done a tiny bit. My high school had some Linux machines. And so I dabbled around with I can use GCC to compile stuff. I even got pulled out of class once because apparently I left the program I compiled running in a loop that somehow got some administrators' attention. And
Oops.
They weren't mad at me. They were just you need to clean up after yourself or whatever.
Yeah, you're learning.
Mm-hmm. So I wasn't super, into the details yet. So I think Ubuntu bridged the gap. And around that time was when BitTorrent was really getting popular and come out. I remember because I wrote a paper about it.
Oh, really?
How the protocol worked is extra credit paper or something.
That's cool.
And so this was also like a safe place to sort of like, oh, I can get these, ISO files and other things and dabble with this cool peer-to-peer technology.
Yeah. Boy, BitTorrent. Oh, the hype. That was so good. All right. So then what would you say was a first like real world problem you solved either with Linux or you could say software in general, but I was curious if there was like a moment where you're like, this is a work tool too.
Ooh, well, I suppose it depends on what you mean by work. I would say the first problem I probably really solved, besides if you want to count like being able to experiment and play as sort of a meta problem that I needed to set myself up for.
It was the OS. That was
it became pretty quickly that same machine, like an early media center. I remember because in college, I had a different laptop at that point I'd gotten for class type work. And so this was able to get stuck in one of my college house's living rooms. And I think it also had a version of Ubuntu and VLC on there. And that let us watch TNG episodes or play movies.
Yeah.
And, this was before really good like set-top boxes. So it was more like a VHS and a DVD player and a computer hooked up probably over VGA.
Yeah. Boy, I sure tried a lot of those. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it was better than, what you had at the time. But that just brings me back. Myth TV just had a new release after forever.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Myth TV just had a release. And you just look at like Jellyfin, which is really downstream of MB, which was downstream of Boxy and, all these things that have come.
And, I mean, Cody's still around, doing great.
Yep. It's pretty funny. Well, all right. See, people wanted to know, People wanted to know, Wes, and so we got the important questions asked, I think. So thank you. Thank you for opening up, The deep probing questions right there. Okay, now I have deep probing questions for the audience. If we set up the ability for you to call in, would you leave us a voicemail from time to time? You could just add it to your phone, get it in your address book, and you think of something, you pop it up there, and you give us a call. Would you do it? I'd like to know. Boost in and tell us. Also, I want to know what your first computer was. Boost in and tell us your first computer. That could be fun and nostalgic. And then also, I think this one we're going to leave out there for a while. Ask us anything. You don't have to only be in the mumble room. You can boost in and ask us anything too. And we'll feature on a future episode.
Oh, you got to explain. What's a voicemail?
You pick up the phone. You call in. Our system answers, and you leave us a voice. Like it's like when you use the voice memo app on your phone.
So it's like a manual voice memo.
Yeah,
you got to do it real time.
Yep. No redos.
That's why you're just a live broadcaster. You want to make everyone live through that. I see what you're doing.
I love the idea of playing people's calls. I don't think anybody's going to do it, but boost in and let us know. Also, ask us anything and tell us your first computer. Those are the things that are on our mind, and we want answers to.
Logical.
So, with the reboot of the launch and Angela's first show, since we have been taking boosts, I thought we could do a little kind of introduction to value for value and boosting and all of that, both for Angela and anyone in the audience that might not be familiar. And I'm really glad Wes is here because Wes has been not only helping me implement it on the technical end, but follows along with all this. So chime in wherever you feel like, Wes. And I thought we'd start with, so we'll have what is value for value? What is the technology that enables what we do? And we'll talk a little bit about that, and then some of the apps and stuff that people and you can use particularly. Mm-hmm. So up front, value for value is a concept that has really been popularized by the podcasting 2.0 community over the last few years. And the general idea is really simple. Up front, the show is free. We release the show, no paywall. You can download the whole back catalog, listen, whatever. Every week we put the effort in. The value, that'd be our value, week after week, and then what we make we put out there for free, and there's no pay to play. So there's no pirating the show, right? You can't have somebody like copy the show and post it around and hurt us, because the more people that listen in a value for value model, the better. Which is why I think it inherently works better for digital internet content, because it's endlessly shareable.
Wait, you wouldn't download a podcast?
Don't you dare. Mm-hmm. And so I think it fits really well with the distribution model of the internet. In fact, the more people that share it around, the better, which is what you want to lean into. And then it asks the audience to reflect on the value they get from the individual shows. Sometimes it's very little value. Of course, we hope it's some value, some positive value, but it could be very little for them. It could be more. People, if they find themselves coming back, if they find themselves enjoying the show, we just ask that they send a little value back to the show. And that can be in several different ways. The value coming back can be in time, right? So like Price setting up the Minecraft server again, that's valuable to the show. People showing up in the Mum Room, valuable to the show. It could be talent. So people that work on our website or people that build Matrix chatbots for us, they're contributing their talent, and that's very valuable to us. And a lot of people, they're really tight on time, and so they don't really have time to express their talent, so they share treasure. Most people are scarce on time, and so they opt to send treasure back to the show because it directly keeps us sustainable. And we've experimented with models like Patreon, and of course we have the member program, which lets people just set it and forget it on automatic. But over the last 2 years, a new kind of technology, it's a standard, it's an open source standard, has come along. And when you stack all these standards together, you get the boosts. So every good podcast, has an RSS feed. Every podcast has an RSS feed. And the spec now lets us add new things to that RSS feed. We can add new information to the RSS feed that different podcast clients pick up. And one of those is the value block. And we can put an address for yourself, for me, for Wes, for editor Drew. We also put a tiny split in there for the podcast index and the developer of the app from whoever somebody's boosting. So it also means that the app developer gets a small, like a 1% cut, and it makes a sustainable development model for them because instead of having to come up with like some sort of creepy advertising program or some sort of crazy membership program, they just get a 1% cut of the boost. And it makes, just by that being there, it starts to make the app sustainable. There, as of right now, are, from what we can count, 24,798 podcasts that accept boosts.
Wow.
Yeah.
There are a lot of podcasts. But,
Still.
Still.
How is this for a number? Transcripts doing even better now. 74,423 podcasts have transcripts now.
Nice. In episode 9 of the launch, we played music that also some of the boosts went to.
This is another great thing. And you can call it I call it magic wallet switching technology. That's not actually the name of it. It's called the value time split. And what you're talking about is a feature that allows us to, during any moment of the show, redirect the boosts to something that's just to another address. And so what we'll do is we'll play a song. And when we play that song, 95% of the boosts go to that artist. And each individual artist can then have splits. I know this is like getting to be turtles on top of turtles here. But if you look at our song this week, we're going to play Pour Me Some Water. And if you go look at the Pour Me Some Water page, you'll see here that he has a ton of splits for his individual song.
Oh, cool.
So he's giving it back to the Podcasting 2.0 community. He's using IPFS to distribute the podcast, so he's kicking money back there. The bulk of it goes to the original creator, but he's got 6 people in his splits
so it's
here.
trickle down. It doesn't necessarily stop at the destination from the show.
So when we turn on the wallet switching technology, it then goes to all of his splits. And so it makes it possible for things like value for value music. Podcasts never had access to music before, and now we can. And in the case of This Week in Bitcoin, I feature a value for value track at the end of every show. And for the last month, every track I featured has gone to number 1 on the charts. And so then then the artist emailed me. The songwriter, he's like, "Oh man, thank you for featuring my song. So many people are listening. This is so great." So
isn't that better than the YouTube version where all you get is angry things, even if you are exposing someone else?
Yeah,
Right.
a takedown and you can't monetize your video.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so there's that. There's a lot of technology I like, and what's so cool is it's all just text in the RSS feed, right? It's all open standard. Anybody can read it. It's all transparent, and it's just so the RSS feed is the source of truth for all this stuff. And what makes the boost sort of next level economical compared to, say, like PayPal or Memberful or any kind of Stripe payment is the Lightning Network is super low fees. Micropayments, you can send a penny over the Lightning Network. You can send a frickin' penny if you want. And it's all peer-to-peer, so there's no like credit card processor or fees in between. There's no intermediaries. So it means that if the amount you boost is the amount we get, or really close to it. And then because it's all an open standard, all these Podcasting 2.0 apps can participate in this ecosystem. RSS is open, Lightning is open, everything's an open standard. So you just, as a developer, you just put the pieces together. And then you can, either as a podcaster or as an app developer or as a listener, participate.
I was just moving some sats around on my node. So I sent 300,000 sats, and I had to pay 35 sats of a fee.
Yeah.
Just to give you a sense of like,
wow.
Yeah.
pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really cool. And along with Lightning, you can attach a message in a payment. And that's the Boostagram part. So that's where we get a message attached to it. And what is so cool for us on the back end is everything comes in pre-tagged. So you know what show they boosted, what their name is, what the amount was, all of that. And then Wes has built a system that can store that in a database and then automatically pull reports for the shows.
Nice.
So unlike email where we spend hours going through the inbox and, you read 5 emails and you pick one email you're actually going to read on air, best case scenario, this is pre-sorted, pre-organized, and already sliced up per show. It's so wonderful from like a prep standpoint. And it's all in a database. So we can go back and query it, pull metrics, pull numbers, all that kind of stuff. So that all is sort of the high level of what the boosts are. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
And then you have the software that makes it possible. On the back end, we use Alby Hub or a standard like Nix Bitcoin node. The podcaster really needs this part. The listener doesn't so much need that part. So I run an Alby Hub for JB. And we have you on there and Brent on there and a couple other people on there. So you don't have to run your own node to get boosts.
Nice.
And then I'll hook you up after the show. You'll use an app called Alby Go, which will connect into that and show you your balance, and you can move things around and, withdraw or whatever like that. And they have an app for iOS, they have an app for Android, and they also have a browser extension. That's really for the podcaster, though. For the users that just want to boost a show, you just need to get sats, like at River, jupiterbroadcasting.com/River, or something like Strike. And then you just need to use something like Breeze, BREEZ mobile, or Fountain, and you just load those sats up. You can think of them as like internet tokens. You're loading up with internet tokens, and then you're sending your internet tokens over with a message. And then we have like a bunch of different sort of like sound bites and themes and memes that come out from those boosts too. So it's a really cool sort of self-organic creating process where the audience begins to participate in the show with the boost as well.
It also provides, we're not making use of this right now, but some of the apps will include like what timestamp you boosted at.
Yeah.
And so the metadata is, voluntary, but super useful.
And then one last thing that's neat and definitely worth mentioning is there's also just the option to set a budget as a listener and stream sats. So every minute you listen, like you send a certain amount of predetermined sats, maybe like 20 sats a minute or something. And so the idea is you're directly compensating for the consumption. And you don't have to do anything else. You just set the budget, you hit play, it just all happens in the background.
Right. I really like this. It does mean, it is one of the features that's more heavily client dependent.
Yeah.
But it's also a great example of something that some of the tech choices make possible that like other ecosystems, right? Like you wouldn't do this via PayPal micropayments.
You wouldn't send 5 cents every minute with PayPal.
But it's such a nice way because, not every episode do I have something I need to say in a boost. And sometimes you don't want to bother with the like great show or, but if you've already pre-calculated a rate that you're like, I want to make sure I pay them at least this month, this much per episode, then you can forget about it.
So is this something that I would want to amass and collect or convert to cash money? And how would I do that?
It's a good question. I think each person implements their own strategy. Like some of the people on the crew, they just keep all the sats and they're like, all right, this is sort of how I'm going to, slowly, build my Bitcoin stack. And the idea there is for like the network, because the network gets a split. The idea there would be, in a couple of years, they could be worth something. And then, we have some runway here all of a sudden. Like we have a lot more flexibility because we have this on our balance. But other folks, they prefer to do like, they keep 20% in sats and they cash out the rest, and then and you can do that, right? You can actually just from Alby Go send them over to the Cash App and cash out immediately. You could do that.
Oh, okay.
And so it might depend too on where what your investing outlook is, and then what levels of complications you want. Because if you do keep them and let them accrue in value, then if you later sell them, there are tax implications.
Yeah.
If you just sell them right away, then they haven't had time to move, so probably not a gain.
Yeah, yeah. It's and it's just sort of each their own. That's a good question, but it's just sort of what you want to do. All right, so. Should we do a real-life demonstration? Should we do a little magic wallet switching technology? And let's take a quick break. I'm going to play Pour Me Some Water, and I encourage you listeners to check out the link in the show notes and look at how they have the split set up. This is Jimmy V. He's a Value for Value music OG, and this is one of his more popular songs in the Valueverse. Yeah.
we made. No, I can't escape this fantasy. Every night I dream that she comes back to me. Lately everything's been kinda hazy. I can't eat, can't sleep, can't think, my mind is numb. Spend my days pulling petals for Daisy. Don't understand what it was I done. Now she gone, no, it just ain't the same. Loneliness is driving me insane. Gone crazy, so crazy. Somebody please pour me some water. 'Cause I can't take the wine. No, I can't take the wine. Pour me some water. It's gonna be alright, it's gonna be alright. 'Cause Mama said she's coming back to me. Suppose it's time I pull myself together. Can't be no man till you face the fact. Ain't nothing in this world can last forever. But I don't care, I know she's coming back. No more will I have to spend my nights alone. She's on her way, baby's coming home. I get so crazy when she's gone. Lord, won't somebody please pour me some water? 'Cause I can't take the wine. No, I can't take the wine. Pour me some water. It's gonna be alright, 'cause Mama says she's coming back. She's coming back to me.
Jimmy V. And we'll have a link to that in the show notes if you would like to go check it out. You know what? I liked it. It was good.
I like it, and
Yeah.
it has like that womp womp that's popular in some adult films.
I do. Whoa.
I mean,
Whoa. Well, Adversary 17 is our baller booster with 32,768 sats. And Adversaries writes, it was great to hear the Jupiter Broadcasting lore. It has been, has it been considered to have a history page on the website? I started listening to the network around LUP 300, which was 2019. I think that was the beginning of the demerger from McLeod Group, I believe.
yeah, that's the note. But no, actually, so LUP 300 was in May 2019. It was December 2019 that a Cloud Guru acquired Linux Academy.
Yeah.
And then a Cloud Guru sold it back, Jupiter Broadcasting, back in August 2020.
There you go.
So 300, when you joined us, would have been kind of still in the meaty phase of the Linux Academy days. We had
Yep.
team and a budget. And
Yeah.
All the things.
Yeah, actually, we had just done the most epic Linux
oh,
Fest
right, when we
Northwest.
flew everyone out.
Yeah,
yeah, that was
we
cool.
did have a budget.
Travel budget was the best. Admiral Murphy comes in with 5,000 sats.
You supposed.
So glad this popped up on my feed. I gotta say, I miss video from JB, even though streaming with the chat is pretty common now. Nothing come close to the experience of the old JB live streaming days, and of course, the faux show.
Woo!
Hearing this new show was great, and I'll be tuning in.
Yep.
Oh, great. I didn't know Admiral Murphy was still listening.
Yeah, so Admiral Murphy came around during the Stoked
Yep,
days and was our youngest
Yeah.
listener viewer, and yeah, he's been with us for a long time, and he even came here to Seattle, and
Yep.
I took him around to some sightseeing in downtown Seattle with his dad.
Aw.
Yeah, and when I saw that boost come in, I had to share it immediately. He's like, "Oh my God, it's Admiral Murphy!"
Yeah, what's funny is he wrote a book for our kids. And as soon as you sent that message to me that he boosted it, I'm friends with him on Facebook, by the way. So like I see the happenings going on with him, but I can literally see the book that he made like from my desk. I have it out in the
that's
open.
great.
So yeah,
That's great. Thank you, Admiral Murphy. It's great to hear from you. Scuffed came in with 5,000 sats.
You supposed.
Duo isn't the first major brand mascot to have died. In 2020, the Planters Peanut tragically passed away after driving his Nutmobile off a cliff during his Super Bowl commercial. Although his death was short-lived, however, as he was resurrected in a subsequent commercial by the tears of the Kool-Aid Man giving birth to Baby Nut. Yes, it is absurd as it sounds.
yeah. I was gonna say this is just getting
Why do I
spiraling.
think there's one of those like wiki fan sites that details all of this?
Oh, yeah. What I think is funny is when I was trying to like randomly name another mascot that should go through this stunt, I actually suggested the Planters Peanut guy, and it turned out they'd already done it. They were the first.
Would you ever consider, blowing up the rocket?
Oh, yeah, good. Okay, I think you're cooking now, Wes. I like this. Oh, let's cause some drama. Thank you, Scuffed. Good to hear from you. Turd Ferguson's here with 8,200 sats.
Turd Ferguson.
What is your personal record for wearing the same pair of pants before it got awkward?
Well, awkward how?
Right.
I
Is this you getting called out on it?
I think
Like,
or either
odor?
somebody noticed or like you noticed.
Or dirty?
Like these things are getting crunchy. I think it could be either one. Has anybody ever called you out for dirty pants?
No.
No.
Did you say turdy?
It could be.
It's
No.
unspecified dirt.
I mean, I've got like a pair of jeans that I'll go a week or so without washing, especially because when I go outside in the winter, I put insulated overalls over them so they don't really get dirty.
Right, more of an outside layer than an inside layer.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, as a woman that wears tighter pants than dudes, they loosen up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, especially if you're wearing a size down when
Yeah.
when you shouldn't be.
So then you gotta
once
wash
they
them
get,
again.
Yeah, once they get loose. So, like for me, it's like max 2 or 3 days,
Okay.
because then they just kind of sag and it's not
Yeah.
comfortable.
Yeah. For me, it's almost always the wrinkles and stuff before it's the dirt.
Mm,
I just don't like the wrinkles.
yeah, I don't get dirty.
Yeah. Well, it's because we're sitting at desks all day.
Right.
True. I tend to have like different things. So sometimes they'll go a while, but it's not because I wore them a lot. It's because I wore them for like, I might have like a pair of dog walking pants that I'll wear a couple times because they're not getting super dirty. They're just like maybe
Right.
a little mud on them. But That's
Right.
fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The other trick is, if you just get all of the same pair of pants, no one can tell.
I know. A uniform's the way to go.
I think boosts with questions are really fun. Thank you for doing that.
I mean, I'd like to know, too, anybody out there, how long did you wear a pair of pants before
How
it got
long is
awkward?
turd wearing? those
Yeah,
pants?
exactly. All right, GKRS_DW, sure, comes in with a row of ducks, 2,222 sats. You didn't completely mess up the episode numbers. Just do it now from binary. Second episode is 10, next will be 11.
Brilliant.
Yeah, they're binary episodes. Wait a minute, there was no episode 1. Get with it. Get with it.
Later on, we'll switch to hex if the show's successful enough.
There you go. That'll really melt everybody's noodle. Podbun comes in with a row of ducks. Have you ever thought of publishing an edited version of the live video to the YouTube channel over the video of the podcast logo? So like right now, we do the automatic upload to YouTube and you just get, the album art and the audio of the show. He says, I've attended a couple of the live episodes, and as someone that mainly listened to the show, it was fun watching the show too.
Mm-hmm.
Video is definitely a hot topic in the podcast space right now.
And the launch channel on Matrix.
Yeah. You think about it, like we'd all have to have cameras. We'd have to get better lighting.
Yep.
Probably want to have some backgrounds.
And then if we turn on this green screen, then
Yeah.
Chris can't wear certain colors.
That's
with
true.
Green.
Yep. It's a thing. I mean, it's
Floating head.
not, I don't know.
Just don't use orange so you can still wear your Bitcoin shirts.
Smart. Yeah. It's something that we're thinking about. It's something I'm trying to take the pulse of the audience on, Podbun, to say right now.
Although Podbuns was a variation, right? Because over the video of the podcast. What does that? Does that mean?
Well, I think
in
what he's
place
saying,
of?
yes, instead of just seeing like the album art up there on YouTube, it'd be like the video of the live stream. High Five Connoisseur came in below the 2,000 sat cutoff, but I want to give him a shout.
Coming in hot with the boost.
1,000 sats to say, loving the launch. Happy to support as a party member and a booster. To Jupiter and beyond. Well, thank you, High Five. Always nice to hear from you, and keep on connoisseuring. We love those connoisseured high fives. Thank you, everybody who boosted in. Now, we had 10 of yous streaming sats as you listened, so we stacked 25,928 sats from the sat streamers out there. Thank you. And then when you combine that with the boosters, we got a grand total this week of 82,340 sats split amongst all of us. Thank you, everybody, so much for boosting the show. The easiest way to do it is with Breeze or Fountain. And then you just pop off a message to us once you get some sats, and we'll read it on a future show. If it's above 2,000 sats, it makes it on the air. And that's just neat. We love hearing from you. Egg prices. They're crazy. They are.
And it's the universally agreed upon new barometer of the economy.
That's right. Yeah, I guess so. So I got a business proposition for you, Ange.
Mm-hmm.
You're working on the backyard, and you're at a moment where you could pivot with the whole backyard strategy.
You're right.
And what if you became a franchise rent the chicken operator? And this is a real thing. You work up with this group, you get some chickens, and then you rent out a chicken.
You might not ever figure out whether the chicken or the egg came first. But it doesn't take a philosopher to see the price of eggs has flown the coop.
Now with the price of eggs, having your own guaranteed eggs in your backyard is great. It's a little bit smaller than some chickens.
One solution people are turning to, renting chickens. Rent the Chicken is a nationwide company with affiliates all over the U.S. Homestead Marlena Schilke is the Northern New Jersey affiliate.
These golden comets are really good egg layers.
It starts with a call to the company. From there, you get set up with your local affiliate. Packages with everything you need to care for the birds start around $600 for the season, which begins in April and goes through October.
You don't have to start with chicks and raise them up and then find out they're roosters and have to get rid of them. So this way you're guaranteed hens. You get 2 to 4. You see if you can handle it. If you like it, if your neighbors don't mind you having chickens, for whatever reason you want to quit, we just take the coop and the chickens back.
So when all is said and done, is it more cost effective for you to rent the chicken rather than just get the eggs from the store? Well, that's only for you to decide. But
So, I'm just saying.
Okay, that's great. That's
Right?
perfect. Yeah. Okay. So, our son is allergic to cats, right?
Yeah.
And a neighbor was going to rehome a cat that we really loved, so we took that cat in, and he did fine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then about 3 to 4 months later, we're like, maybe we need another cat.
Sure.
But I needed a risk-free way to do it.
Right.
Because I don't want to go do the whole adoption thing and then
Yeah.
have to surrender it or find it, rehome it, and then accidentally give it to some psychopath, right? But I got our second cat from my friend, and I told her, if my son has more allergies or if your
Goes back.
kitten doesn't get along with my
Yeah.
cat, then you have to accept the cat back. And so I got that. And, the rest is history. We have 2 cats. But this is perfect because you said that. And I don't know if there is a location in my yard that matches the city requirements for how far away
Screw the city.
animals have to be. Like
There's
livestock.
a business opportunity here.
No, I know, but I just don't know. Like, I'd have to put it in the open area, which technically isn't my property. I don't know. But I do Eggy Tuesday every
Okay.
Tuesday because it's a cheap meal and all 3 kids will eat it.
Yes.
And that's just over medium eggs
Yep.
sandwiches.
They love eggs.
Yeah. So we do go through a lot of eggs right now, and that would be very cool. But I don't know the first thing about
Well, here's my
Eggs.
idea. Here's my idea. Okay, you ready for this? This could be like this could be like the underlying business to JB and the podcast are just secondary. So we load the backyard up with chickens, right? Lots of chickens. And then we virtually rent them out. So you don't even have to take ownership, the person that's renting.
Sounds like owning a star.
Or or owning a stock, kind of. I mean,
No, a star.
I know. But
Oh,
kind
okay.
of think about it, it's like stock too. Like you don't actually kind of like own
I see.
a paper claim to the company.
Maybe we've got some cameras you can check in on your hens.
Totally.
Right? Yeah, there's your head.
You have to
It's
stream
live.
sats to watch the stream, but that's
You know
part
what?
of the deal.
Actually, Wes, if you sign up and you become a virtual chicken customer, we'll even have a button on the website where you can dispatch a little bit of feed, like a little ESP relay that just like feeds them. You know what?
Do you see the hens as a service? Haas?
Oh, that's hilarious. Hens as a service. So I'm saying we use this. We load up the backyard with the chickens, and then we sublet out the chickens virtually. So people get claims to the eggs, but they don't have to own the chicken.
Now, are we then shipping the eggs out? Or is it sort of a thing where we eat the eggs and they can watch us?
No, I mean, that'd be interesting if we could make that work. But I think you start with local pickup only.
Okay,
Right.
so you're an egg dealer.
Yeah, you're an egg dealer. Yeah. But they don't have, when they come to get the eggs, they don't pay you anything because they've already been renting the chicken.
You know, I would include a picture of their chicken with each egg pickup.
That's a good idea. Yeah. You'd want to have some sort of system like if one chicken isn't really producing, you have a way to kind of even that out. But I think there's a real business opportunity here.
Yeah.
And you can, if you want to get started, you can just go to rentthechicken.com.
That is so cool.
Yeah. And they have, looks like they have an outfit here in Vancouver, Washington. All right. Yeah, so if you're in the Portland, Oregon, or Vancouver, Washington area, there's already a gal doing this. So there's nobody in our neck of the woods. So it's just low-hanging fruit. Hens as a service. I'm telling you, check it out. I think it's the way to go. I think it's the future. And I'm pretty excited about it.
I think technically eggs don't count as fruit. Close, though. Low-hanging poultry?
Yeah, good point.
Kind of near the dairy case, but that's not right.
Hey, I don't. Are we doing an episode next week? I think so, right? Because I don't think we're leaving before the
Yeah,
launch.
you flat on Wednesday.
Of the
Yeah,
launch?
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's possible the week after, depending on our travel plans. I think we'll be back in time, but that's always possible. We may miss one in the next week or two, depending on Planet Nixon scale travel. I don't think so, but I just wanted to kind of warn everybody. That's definitely possible. Links to what we talked about today are at weeklylaunch.rocks. You can find the old episodes there too, starting at episode 1, also known as episode 9.
Yes.
What was I doing? And then if we are live, we'd love to have you here. Join us next Tuesday. Of course, you can always catch us in your podcast app. You can get your Mumble preloaded at jupiterbroadcasting.com/mumble so you're ready to go. Then you can join us on a Sunday or a Tuesday. They're pretty nice. Mr. Payne, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
That was nice. Please send in your boost. Remember, we want to know if you would actually call in and leave us a voicemail if we set that up. Also want to hear about your first computer, and you can ask us anything.
Hey, and why not also just tell us where you'd time travel to?
Yes. All right. That's episode 11. See you next time from the beautiful Pacific Northwest, the mighty American West Coast. Thanks for listening. See you next episode.